Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Slurpathon 9. Getting into the Saturday cartoon block, we have rujasu55 running Pac-Land, and the incentive for the 8 trips was met. Thank you, everybody, for your gracious donations. Passing over to you, Rujasu.
Hello, I'm Rujasu, rujasu55 on Twitch. I'll be running this game, the whole thing apparently. Yeah. Trace, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Trace, Peace Egg on the internets, and I have also run this game exhaustively over all the time, the whole dang game, 8 trips. And I will say right now, you're in for a platforming experience. And Rajasu is the world record holder right now. I used to be the world record holder, and I will say this game is one of the most evil platformers you will ever witness, despite the fact it looks so cute and delightful.
It is wonderful and evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we're just going to get right into it here. So we'll start here in three, two, one, go.
So I can talk a little bit about the background of the controls here. This game originally, not this version specifically, this is the TurboGrafx 16 version. The arcade version of this game came out in 1982, and I say this because its controls are 3 buttons. No joystick, no D-pad, no nothing like that, just 3 buttons. One button runs right, one button runs left, one button jumps. To run fast, you need to mash those buttons to run right or left. That would cause repetitive stress injury over the course of 10 or 20 minutes, trust me on that. So instead, we use the TurboGrafx 16 version where you can just turn on the button controls and say, hey, put this on autofire and make it press the button really fast, which is fantastic. You can see Pac-Man is scooting along here, running around dodging ghosts, but also, you will see later on, this comes at the cost of a lot of precision on jumps using autofire. But it's super fast, so you kind of have to run it this way. And yeah, go on, sorry, if there's anything I missed.
Yeah, no, you pretty much got it. Precision is not going to happen here. Pac's just gonna kind of go his own way sometimes. You think you jumped or you think you ran, but Pac-Man says you didn't, so you just gotta roll
Yeah,
with it sometimes.
so if there's ever a jump you see where it's like, why did Pac-Man jump like that? Why did Rujasu jump off that cliff or run off that cliff without jumping? Trust me, they didn't do anything wrong. The game just decided not to accept responses because of all the mashing and auto-firing, and Pac-Man just doesn't like jumping sometimes.
Yeah, it turns out that you know in the days before Super Mario Brothers, jumping was hard.
Yep. And I will say this was an inspiration to Shigeru Miyamoto for Super Mario Brothers, but obviously Miyamoto did it a little better. That said, this is still a wonderful game, and as y'all probably see, this music is an absolute bop. Also, round 4. So every 4 rounds, at the end of the third round, a fairy princess will give Pac-Man special shoes that basically give him unlimited jumping. And then he runs left back home to his family. There's probably some lore going on here. I don't know what it is. I invite you to make up your own story for it. But here he is, back with the Pac wife and the Pac kid.
And now the shoes go away until level 8.
Exactly.
We just have to keep
Spring.
getting them.
Yep. Just every time you drop the fairy off at the wherever, you get brand new shoes. But yeah, brand new trip. These first 4 trips are not terribly hard. This one has some mean RNG with those blue ghosts in the windows, which Rujasu, they did not get that, thankfully. They were able to run past there without any issue. Sometimes the ghosts will appear in windows that just basically make you have to wait for things to clear up. And that's kind of the RNG of this run, is you'll occasionally just get the ghosts in places where you can advance, or you can try, but it's like a pixel-perfect jump that mostly murders you. But the ghost will, like, right there. Normally, or sometimes, the ghosts pogo up and they're out of your way. Right there, you had to wait. There was no getting away from that. Like, you could try running through that, but you're gonna die. And additionally, to call out the turbo controls a little more, these floaty jumps you're seeing off the springboards, normally you'd have to mash the run button to stay afloat. Which, in some places, if you're not mashing at max pace, you will fall to your death. So autofire will save your life there and your wrists.
I was wondering how that worked because that was like, is that mashing happening the whole entire time?
Yeah, try playing this on the arcade mode where you don't have turbo and you actually have to mash, and it is all kinds of evil.
Yeah, I will say any of the Pac-Man like museum games, Museum Plus, the most recent one I think, there's Pac-Land in that, and you are free to try those springboards. Open that up, see how that goes for you, because I did that for a speedrun recently, just 4 rounds, not even like we're already on round 7, you can see. My wrists and shoulders hurt very badly after that. I feel like it's a point where I just have to say I'm getting old and I can't handle arcade Pac-Land. But here we go. Once again, we have the fairy shoes. We're running back. And this all seems so straightforward, you know, just occasional jumps. You can see now, this one's going to be a little tricky because there's going to be some falling children in a minute here, right there. Rujasu doing a great job playing it safe with this because it's very easy to bounce right into a child and not know where it's going to drop. But those double jumps and triple jumps and extra jumps do not, they're not consistent at all. They kind of have their own weird rhythm to them. I have heard them referred to like space jump for Metroid.
Yeah.
But here we go, break time. Have a cup of tea and hang out with Fortnite Bush on Pac-Land and his Pac-Man shaped coffee table. I mean, imagine being such an absolute unit that you have a coffee table shaped in your likeness.
That's a good point. I kind of want that now.
Yeah, imagine that. Like, that's just that's where you know you've made it. Like, hey, I'm Pac-Man. I did such a great job. I'm going to just have this coffee table made, and it's me. Now, I've been talking about that so much, we even avoided the skull there earlier. So the skull signifies quicksand, and Pac-Man can fall into it. If he hits the skull, he's dead in most cases. There will be an exception later on. And now round 10's like the first really mean RNG level. These ghosts are not predictable in a lot of ways. You know the number of ghosts, you just don't know what path they'll be taking. Sometimes they just block your path entirely. Other times they offer you the riskiest jumps imaginable. And sometimes they do this, where they just converge on you and you have no place to go but death.
Yeah. If you see those UFOs and you're wondering what's their movement pattern, I don't know either.
Yeah, it might be very wide up in the air, might just go very short, but generally it's going to be whatever annoys you the most.
Yep.
And then we get into... So you're probably already seeing a theme in some of these levels. There are certain thematics. This one's the cliffside stage. You'll see a few of these later on. Rounds 22 and 26 we kind of call Widowmakers. But here you really got to place your landings properly. So we haven't talked about the jumping of Pac-Man much here, but Pac-Man needs a few steps of run to basically get up to a full tall jump. If you try jumping from like 1 or 2 steps, Pac-Man will do a short jump, and that oftentimes will lead to your death because you need those tall jumps, you need those long jumps. So to get that kind of run up, you have to land on the left side of those little tiny cliff platforms. Otherwise, if you don't, yeah, you're going to have a short jump, you're going to fall to your death. You can see it was no problem here, but keep an eye on that later. And remember, the movement is very inconsistent because we're on autofire.
Yeah, like sometimes if you see me die because I landed like just to the left of a ledge, like that's why, because I'm trying to get as far left on that ledge as possible, and you know, you have to be like right on it.
Exactly, and the turbo fire on the 16 is 2 frames on, 2 frames off. Sometimes you press it and you get both frames and you didn't want them, and it just shoots you off to the left and you fall to your doom. But hey, we're back with our family again, and on to trip 4. This This for a long time was the final trip of what anybody thought was a feasible speedrun until Flannel Cat and I came along and started running the evil stages. So if all this has looked pretty peaceful and normal, this is the last you'll see of it this trip. Rujasu showing off some nice tech that only they do typically these days, although the rest of us are looking into it now. You can stand on the hydrants long enough and they will shoot you upwards. They always try to shoot at you. They will push you around with those water spouts. And you can use that to get on roofs and dodge a lot of ghosts, which is very handy when you don't want to deal with the RNG of ghosts. Just go around them. And now we're into round 14, which is the first of 3 ghost houses. Here you gotta collect keys to open doors. There's usually 1 or 2 ideal paths through every ghost house. And you want to minimize like having to backtrack as much as possible. So 14 is pretty solid 1 good path. And you don't want to hit too many doors, you don't want to deal with that. And you want to always exit out the middle here. And just that easy.
Cool. Do you mind if I just butt in for a quick second, just talk about the incentive that we have open for Thomas and the Tank Engine and Friends?
Oh, absolutely. Go for it.
Cool. We have a $50 incentive open for Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Thomas Storybook that the Assassination is going to be running during the Saturday cartoon block. Basically, the Assassination, when he's playing Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, will be telling us a story. So only $50 to make that incentive met. No dollars have been donated towards it yet. Let's get the momentum started.
Heck yeah, thank you for that. Now you see here, like, this is another, like, water stage. You see these waves rising up to grab Pac-Man. If Pac-Man touches any one of those waves that come up, they will grab him and they'll stick to them, and they'll try to drag him down into the water. Sometimes you can escape those, oftentimes you're pretty much dead. So we will try to avoid those as much as possible, or if we get grabbed by them, try to find some way to separate from them. And 16, taking the safe way around, I think that's a good idea. There is a very dangerous skip you can do there that also kills about 75% of my runs. And just bouncing through the woods here. This is, again, the end of 4 trips, which used to be the standard half the game of the TurboGrafx-16 version, and we're home. But now, I'm here to inform you, Pac-Land is about to get very, very real. And I don't just mean the fact that that ghost is somehow watching Pac-Man sleep, and that's kind of weird.
Yeah. It immediately gets harder, too. Like, 17 is just, like, nothing before this is as hard as 17 is.
Exactly. Like, right here, all those ghosts dropping, that's pretty standard. That UFO can sometimes just be right in your way, and you can't do anything about it, and you're dead. As you're falling off from the water. And going to springboards, you have to use a springboard. And yes, those UFOs, once again, are in your way. That pink ghost can drop that ghost right in your face, and very little you can do about it sometimes. And welcome to the second half of Pac-Land.
That was a much better 17 than I usually get. Like, usually I take a couple deaths on 17. That was very lucky.
Yeah, no, that was super clean. That was great. And another cliff stage. This is going to be like the standard for these cliff stages, like tiny little platforms. Rujasu's going to want to land on the left side all the time to get those run-ups for the big jumps. And that, I cannot tell you how hard that is with the controls. These controls, we make them look easier than they are. They are not easy. This is like trying to control a button mashy, automatic button mashy control scheme, and holy crap, that was very clean.
This is absolutely nuts. Like, I'm losing it right over here. Like, I'm muting my mic and I'm just watching. I'm like, what in the world is actually happening right now?
Yeah, no, it's just, this is Pac-Land. Everybody has to, oh yeah, and that's right there, a proof of why you need those extra steps. There was a short jump there that Rujasu got. Wanted a longer jump, but sometimes Pac-Man just doesn't want to do that. And we're grabbing keys. There's a couple routes through this ghost house, but they're about the same time, so there's no big loss. It's just get through, get that late jump in, jump out, and we're good. the third one it gets a little mean. But yeah, no, Pac-Land is a very intense platformer. You're about to see even more of this get harder and harder as it goes on. This is... I mean, I'm biased because I run this game, but I think more people should run this.
Not this next stage, though.
Oh no, this stage is, well, the ghosts decided to go on strike. So, there's no ghosts. It's just apples and water and woods. Yeah. There will be two, ghosts at the end that I assume are probably trying to, act like they're, doing their job, but they're probably not going to do anything. This is kind of where the difference is between the auto-fire and people who actually be playing this game and having the button mash to run left. This is meant to be a timer stress for those who need to run fast. Oh, that ghost actually did something. Holy crap. That's amazing. The ghost's actually effective for once. That is unusual. But those are the only ghosts in this level. Everybody else is running. You see the timer at the very bottom to the left of round 20. That once all those Pac orbs are out, there is a ghost that's been tailing Pac this whole time, and he will just rush at Pac-Man at that point. But we don't have to worry about that because we finished. And on trip 6. And this is a stage where basically you want to try and beat those hydrants as much as you can, because if you get by them, it gets real stressful because they will push you back and it's very hard to leap over them. Rujasu taking the very nice and safe strat of choosing not to engage on the streets and go to the rooftop. This is an incredibly good strat. Look at all that death avoided right there.
Yeah. It's a little bit tricky to get up there. Like, sometimes I will, like, mess up the arc to get on the roof, but it's so much better to get on the roof than to try to go down below, because you'll die so much.
Yeah, a lot of the ghosts being dropped there, you can get lucky and not get hit there, and you might save 3 seconds, but every death, like what we just saw there, that's just unfortunately timed playing. Should have gotten there a little bit earlier. The plane, not Pac-Man. Every death is about like a 3 to 5 second loss. Every game over is like 30 to 45 seconds. So if I can take 2 seconds to wait for a safer path, usually that's a better use of my time and movement than trying to go for the risky path. And yeah, there's a good question in chat. We do avoid power pellets most of the time except for the end of stages, because they freeze the timer at the bottom. And as you can see here, as we're at break time, it takes all the time to count down all the remaining power pellets or Pac dots, whatever you want to call those. And we don't want too many of those. Also, if you have a power pellet and you touch a ghost, it's just like the original Pac-Man. Everything freezes while you get the points for eating the ghost. That's a slight time loss, like a second and a half or so.
Cool, do you mind if I just hop in? We received a donation. Awesome.
Yeah.
$10 in from Scoots with a message that says, choo-choo! Let's get that story time train rolling. Thank you so much, Scoots. Really appreciate it. That puts the incentive at $10 out of 50, which is needed to hit that incentive goal. Thank you. 40 more to go.
Excellent, thank you for that. Let's get that met. And yeah, you can see here, this is going to be a sign of things to come for Pac-Man. This is one of the more evil stage styles with the waves coming up, very small islands to work with. And it's hard to work with those planes. Sometimes they just get in your way and there's nothing you can do. I think anybody who's put in that situation of all the top speedrunners is going to die there all the same. And this is kind of the RNG and the meanness of Pac-Land. And so Rujasu is trying to focus. Up here at the top of the level with the waves is kind of the safest place to be. It will be safer later when there's more planes going by and you can kind of jump across them, but here there's not so many going by, so Pac-Man's going to have to go down the bottom paths, and yeah, the wave just caught up and shoved Pac-Man right up into the yellow plane. That's Pac-Land. And then, very lucky. Oh, wow. That could have led to easy death there, but the children were dropped in such a way And yes, the consensus is those are the ghosts dropping their own children. We don't know why. That seems weird. But just like that, through round 23, that's one of the rougher stages, but I'm going to keep saying that as we advance further because they just keep getting meaner and meaner.
Yeah. There's a question in chat. I'm running this on BizHawk.
Yeah, I will say that the setup we have for autofire controls, I've run this both on TurboGrafx-16 and BizHawk, and it's about the same on both. The autofire, if you set it up properly, 2 frames on, 2 frames off, acts exactly the same. Obviously, some of the latency is a little better on the TurboGrafx-16 hooked up to a good monitor, but that's about it. Because I ran this at SGDQ with Flannel Cats, who is another Pac-Land speedrunner. She had brought a TurboGrafx-16 in, and that was real nice. And those fire hydrants, on the other hand, were very mean. And that's why you want to try and dodge those as much as possible, because they will just take all control away from you. But we're back here, back with good old Pac-Man.
Wonderful. You mind if I hop in? I got another donation.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. We have $5 from Start Thomas. That says $5 train to Start Thomas. Thank you so much for the $5, Start Thomas, to Start Thomas to get the $5 train going for Thomas the Tank Engine and friends.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So once again, we're here at a very mean forest stage. Just the RNG of the pogos and the UFOs. Depending on where Pac-Man is positioned, sometimes they will just charge right at him. Sometimes they just bounce up and down. It's very pixel sensitive. And it's just, basically, what's the way they can be the most annoying is what you kind of have to predict with. But we got through, we're fine. And moving on to the second of what I kind of call the Widowmakers. If you have a run that's going very well, this is one of the stages where it will die, potentially. So you have to wait for those planes to go by. There's some rough one log jumps there. You have to wait for these ghosts to drop, and those children are dropping very successfully in good spots. And now we're going to try and hop across these planes. That is excellent. Rujasu's making this look very simple. We want to get the pellet here because this makes this jump way safer, but the opportunity was not presenting itself, so we just decided to jump across all planes. That was a fantastic executed cliff there, because that could get super hard if you don't do that. And now into 27. The only stage I've ever soft locked on, and I don't think it's going to happen here, but it's... I'm permanently shook from it. It's just, again, a smorgasbord of UFOs, planes. The occasional double-decker bus will show up. Oh, hey, speaking of which. And you can grab that pellet to be safe. Rujasu shows that. That's a very smart strat, I think, there.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't, but those ghosts were just kind of right in my way there. And
yeah, and because it was right at the end of the stage, you don't lose much time on it as long as you don't contact any of the ghosts. That was a very okay time to take a pellet.
Yep.
Better to do that than lose time and get checkpointed back, or worse, have it be during a time where you're risking a game over. So now, end of Trip 7, we're at basically... all these ghosts must have visited some sort of pogo stick emporium, because we're on pogo sticks left and right. Get all your pogo sticks out. Come to Pogo Stick Emporium with all your pogo sticks you need. Fly on over as quickly as you can. Get your planes, get to the Pogo Stick Emporium, and pick up those pogo sticks on the cheap. And we're just waiting for everything to clear out, because these planes are frequently right where you want to be. And just like that, Trip 7 is done. We're on the final trip of Pac-Land.
I'm going to go ahead and hit my mute button here, and you'll hear from me in a little bit.
Yep, these are the meanest 4 trips. I will talk through these because there is nothing nice going on here. Round 29, there's no springboard or getting over Slate. You have to use the planes. You have to ride the planes. And by the way, every platform, every other plane, those clouds bouncing around, everything else has priority platform-wise for Pac-Man. You touch those clouds, it will take you away from the plane. Sometimes it'll drop you into the plane and kill you. So you have to avoid every platform you can. You have to keep riding this plane. And oh my gosh, perfect ride. That was incredible. I cannot tell you how hard that is. Especially trying to do a directional jump to stay on that plane constantly. That is one of the hardest things to make Pac-Man do. That was flawless. And this is the final ghost house. We don't want to open that door. We want to open the door ahead. Rujasu jumping through fantastically there. We're just kind of like working with traffic here with the ghosts because this is the one time we're going to be dealing with a lot of ghosts and they're just kind of in the way and you can't do much about it. So you can risk jumps, but usually that will get you killed. Except for the end where you have to do one risky jump to get out of the ghost house. Like, it requires it. One key's needed, Rujasu grabs it, we're going to get out. There's another risky jump, which kind of sometimes pops up. That's the door you got to use. There's the ghost you got to be risking jumping over, and we're out. That's all the ghost houses. And now, for the meanest stage in the entire game, 31. There are people who will game over like dozens of times here. You kind of have to use your lives as currency to get through this. I've only gotten through this stage deathless twice, I want to say? And only once ever on a speed run, and that's my world record run. And that's about right. That UFO would not leave Pac-Man alone. That is troublesome. The strat really is to try and get the top platforms as quickly as you can. The controls there not cooperating. That is pretty standard. You want to get that pellet to try and advance. The wave is deciding not to let us advance, though. And that kind of gives you extra checkpoints to move ahead. Every one of these pillars of brick walls that goes all the way up to the top of the screen, those are checkpoints. You will start there if you get to one of those. And, ooh, lucky plane here. We're going to ride this plane all the way to the end. There's no worry about platform priority here. This one will be a safe ride all the way to the end. That makes it so much safer. You want to get up to the top, do that. Fantastic 31. And now, for the final round, this is basically Pac-Man is Flappy Bird before Flappy Bird even existed in anybody's head. Yeah, it was a fantastic round 31. No game over. And we're heading for this. So, because there's water underneath Pac-Man all the way through here, it's just, there is no checkpoint. If you die here, you restart all the way at the beginning. And this is long. So, and Pac-Man does control a little bit like Flappy Bird here. You're just trying to avoid all these ghosts. Some will try and drop down and intercept you. Like that blue ghost right there. Heck, that one. We all hate him. Legit, we do hate him. He's kind of the worst. And just being perfectly patient here. You want to be patient. Better to take a few extra seconds and die and have to restart all this over again. The checkmark cloud means it's good, and that's time.
That's unreal. That was absolutely unreal. GG.
GG, Rujasu. Holy, wow, that was amazing.
That is unreal. I was sitting here the whole entire time like, oh my goodness. That patience at the end for 32 was nuts. I just can't believe that. I really can't.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm thrilled. Am I seeing right? 27:18?
Yep.
That is incredible for a marathon run. That's incredible, period. That's really, really fast.
Wow.
You couldn't hear me, but I had just the biggest smile on my face when I got on that plane on 31, because the second half of that level is so hard if you don't get on that one plane that carries you the rest of the way. I only found out you could even do that, like, a couple of months ago, and then I was able to use that to get my world record run, but it's just like, it's maybe 10% of the time that you manage to get that plane, like, in that spot, and the rest of the time, that whole level is just murder, so...
yeah, usually otherwise you have to ride the planes going the other way, going left, and jump across them. But if you get that red plane, you are in good shape.
Oh, that was absolutely incredible. Well, alrighty. Jeez. Justin, do you have anything else that you'd like to say? I'm just sitting here like, what in the world just happened?
Um, I guess I'll just say, again, you can find me on Twitch at rujasu55. Um, yeah, thanks to Slurpathon for having me on and letting me show off this awesome game that if you want to run it, you can pick it up and it is evil, but the first four trips are not so evil, and it's hard to master, but I would definitely recommend trying it out. It's a lot of fun. Thanks to Peace Egg for being on commentary and really inspiring me to run this in the first place. And yeah, also to Flannel Cat, who ran this before and kind of got the whole thing started, and to all of you for watching and donating to make this possible. Uh, Trace, you have anything you want to say?
Nope, I'm just Trace. I'm Peace Egg on Twitch. I usually speedrun a lot of Phasmophobia these days rather than Pac-Land, but if you want to learn this run, just reach out to Rajasu, myself, even Flannel Cat. We will all be happy to teach you anything about this game. Like, we all love this game. We want more people to run it. I know you've heard that a lot, but we mean that. Like, we will introduce this game to anyone who wants to give it a shot. So, please enjoy the evil that is Pac-Land.
Yeah,
And we hope
absolutely.
you've enjoyed it
Couldn't
here.
agree more.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you both so much. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to be taking it to the Be Right Back screen and just getting set up for the next runner. We will see you all shortly. Thank you again. Hey, what's up, everybody? Dafe's here. What an incredible run! Goodness gracious, that was absolutely incredible. I'm still sitting here like, what in the world just happened?